Welcome to the Celonis Journey with Sysmex. Cash is king, how collections shines the crown. Today, I want to give you an introduction. Who are we? We are Sysmex. I am Elizabeth Powell, Senior Manager Customer Operations, and I'm predominantly focused on our business systems, integration, and business process optimization. I'm going to introduce Sandy Kroc, who unfortunately is not going to be able to join us today. She's our Manager of Collections and Cash Apps. We call her Sandy Millions, and she's been able to really work with the Celonis products to bring in the millions. Paresh Gandhi, Senior Business Analyst, who's predominantly focused on process improvement and business optimizations within our customer operations team. So, Sysmex America. Who are we? We are focused in our medical devices and specifically in vitro diagnostic equipment. And hematology is the biggest area we are in the United States. Globally, we are also involved with blood, urine, and other specimens, and immunochemistry, clinical chemistry, point of care testing, etc. And we are also focused on innovation. Really looking at how do we do better with technologies and doing things the smartest way we can. With regards to our portfolio, as I mentioned, we are predominantly in our hematology business here in North America. And we have a wide range from satellite labs to core labs, small physician offices, to the big reference labs that have major systems and really work with automation, workflow, etc. So for Sysmex, we have best-in-class products, and we are also in most of the top hospitals and clinical cancer networks throughout North America. Now to focus on our Celonis journey. We have been on the Celonis journey since late 2018 when we first were getting interested in working with it, and then 2019. We did a rapid deployment of our process mining and validating as we moved forward. We did not switch to use Celonis as our main reporting tool, which gave us the flexibility of moving quickly. Right? We weren't switching over to make it official. We were using Celonis to really gain insights and go quickly, do drill downs, deep dives, analysis, etc. One of the main points to note is that we did have from our contract signing to our order to cash going live was about 4 months. And then we have now done ServiceNow. We've integrated it with ServiceNow for our IT support, help desk, process mining as well. And that only took about 2 months to go through implementation and into validation. So this has really been able to go on a very rapid pace. With regards to process improvement, our order to cash and ARs are where we started out. And we wanted to have some strategic objectives specifically to enable global process standardization, truly understanding what our really processes were based on what the data said, right? Be able to increase our speed and really innovate. Again, understand what's going on, where are the friction points, and innovate. Let's move forward and make things better across the organization. We had a few different pain points, inconsistent processes between the regions, and this is all part of our S4 implementation as well. We are still moving from ECC 6 to S4 HANA with our SAP implementation. So we really needed to understand what's going on, and it was a prime opportunity to drill down and see what was going on, what's going on with our processes. We also suffered from having a lack of visibility to the overall entire process through the organizations because each of the different departments focused on a piece of the operation and not as much end to end. And we were at a high risk point. We're very dependent upon the knowledge of our subject matter experts, and particularly for our business information systems, where one subject matter expert away, if he left, we would lose a lot of tribal knowledge, understanding of the intricacies of the systems and how things worked. So having a tool that you could drill into and mapped out was really very helpful. We were focusing as well on specific KPIs, the number of credit checks, credit limit thresholds, past due buckets. We had just taken over the collections department, and we're learning a lot of things about that and taking the opportunity to use Celonis to look through the process flows, understand the drill downs, etc. So again, the past due buckets, standing order frequencies, order to cash, unresolved orders, DSO. We had a lot of KPIs that we're looking into from our deployment right at the start. We also were looking at our Celonis work area coverage and talk about Explorer. I had kind of fun with that and using the Process Explorer, the diagnostics, the drill downs to look into our accounts receivables, collections, customized dashboards. We, over the number of months, have worked out daily management dashboards, specifically for accounts receivable. We really focused on partnering there. We have as mentioned, Sandy has been a wonderful partner to work with and develop dashboards to help her run the business and get the results for the business, right, together. Customer service, we're looking at the order to cash and understanding what's driving that area of business, also working with the manager there. And that's our next area to really kind of drill into. We've just added the customer master so that we can see if we can find triggers, right? Those action points to help the downstream organizations get the early indications from a trigger that we can identify within Celonis. We've also implemented procure to pay, and the manager there is looking into the Maverick buying and seeing if she can get her hands around controlling that, getting better control and understanding how that's working and what the actual process is and those details. We've also implemented Celonis with Zendesk and ServiceNow to get our organization ticket processes understood. We use Zendesk in our customer service and contracts departments for our email handling, and ServiceNow again for our help desk tickets. So we are using it in a lot of different ways. For Celonis and opportunities, like I was saying, we started with S4HANA and needing it to understand what's actually happening as we prepare to go and upgrade from ECC6 to our S4HANA deployment and look at it. What T codes are really being used? When are they being used? Who's using them? Where are the friction points? Where are holds happening? The cycle time, what's really going on? We were needing to understand our requirements. And then, looking at the variants, we were able to identify, is that just a one-off and an anomaly because of a user error? Or is that truly another process that needs to have requirements created for it in the new system? As I was saying, we wanted to focus on collections and understand it, and that is what we have done. We find that leveraging Celonis, it is using a Six Sigma approach. I have a black belt and Paresh has a green belt in Six Sigma, and intuitively we really drove into this and used it to answer why is this happening? What's causing it? What's really tied to it and what's not? What are the levers that we can point to and work on to make improvements? We also, like we're saying, focus on the past due. Let's get some returns. Why is it happening? We've identified that we had service contracts was causing or tied to a lot of things. And that's because we were trying to make improvements to automate and reduce the manual efforts in one area. And then we were seeing the details and what happened, okay, the cause and effect because of the changes of what we tried in the past. So we were seeing disputes on invoices, understanding root causes and impact levers, and really able to drill into the disputes. Who is disputing invoices? Why? What invoices are they, et cetera. So we were able to use a lot of the tools to drill into that and see what do we need to focus on, because there's so many things that may fall into it, but you have to focus on driving the actions in particular areas. So cash is king, collections shines the crown. We leveraged Celonis to collect over 10 million in outstanding receivables in just 9 months. As I was saying, we really were focusing on our collections team and partnering with the management, the team, to give them the information that they could use and drive the action, drive the collections. Unlock the points of friction in the credit department, specifically, for example, with the credit limits, setting them, using the system to work better now that we were understanding it better, incorporating real-time data extractions. We started out with a base extraction and then went to real time so that we could see when are things really happening and get up to the minute information on, for example, what cash has been applied, what's still outstanding in the afternoon. Again, working at forecasting potential and leveraging the transformation center with goals and daily trending, daily emails automatically getting presented to senior management. It has helped enable us to get a much better view on what's going on. Okay. Paresh, do you want to take over at this one?
Thank you, Liz, for that introduction. Really appreciate it. So before we can get into the next series of slides that talk about how we got to 10 million in just 9 months, we have to take a step back and to understand how does Celonis help us. So Celonis really came in and started helping us with leading our digital transformation. They did this by giving us the ability to slice our business, to address the increased business complexities, and especially with today's uncertainty, all while making sure that we're attaining to customer satisfactions and making sure we're thinking of the customer at the end of the day. So in order to accomplish these goals and accomplish what was set in front of us, we needed to visualize the impact relating to existing business decisions, a basic process improvement, basic Six Sigma approach to develop a baseline. By doing that, we had to increase the business maturity. So we were able to increase our business maturity both from our collector's perspective as well as from a Celonis perspective. We used Celonis to educate our teams to see the value behind the data. We did that by getting the prescriptive data-driven decisions with accessible data views. What that basically means is having snapshots that really meant meaningful data back to the user. And most importantly, is it quick for the user to obtain the data that they need to be successful. So a better understanding of the business. Drivers are passed to. We used Celonis to really look into our business and say, how can we look at certain subsets of our business? So for example, can we look at 1 to 30, 31 to 60, all the different buckets of past due? Can we go ahead and assign goals to our team to say, in 19, you accomplished X number, in 20, I want you to accomplish this. And by doing that, by using Celonis, we're able to develop a roadmap to getting to those goals. And we'll be talking about that in the next series of slides. Another mechanism that we use to educate and bring up our organization is the use of Transformation Center. The use of Transformation Center was really beneficial to us because on a daily basis, we can track overall KPIs and actionable results, right? So we can actually go and track a particular collector and down to what their past due buckets are, right? To really come back and say, you're making great strides in your performance, or we have opportunities here. One of the main things that when we started off this presentation, we talked about business maturity. Well, that all started by the team grasping on to the Celonis concept and understanding the data and believing in the data, and the entire organization believing in the data. Dashboards, nimble deep dive analysis focused on CFO objectives. We won't get too much into that. In the upcoming slides, we'll be talking about that. Reporting benefits. So one of the ways we accomplished the $10 million in 9 months and led our digital transformation, leveraging the data, is coming up with meaningful data points and data sheets. And this is specifically what you're seeing on the screen right now, on the right, scrolling up. This is started with our deep dive analysis, the age of receivables report, the critical risk customers, the high-risk non-hospital customers, government reporting. We were able to go ahead into Celonis, extract the data, and have reports sent out on Monday and Friday right to our CFO and our director to give a quick snapshot. This is how your week started. This is how your week's ending. So it gives a very quick ability to get accurate data quickly and be able to make actionable results or decisions based on those results. Now we're looking on transforming our business, right? So using all the tools that Celonis has to provide, has to offer, and in particular, we're looking at Action Engine and some automation capabilities, because we do see that, we do identify that's in this current state. We need to grow, we need to work smarter, not harder, and leverage some of the tools that our applications have. What this delivery report, block reporting and notifications, we saw it in one of the screens on the right-hand side. But what that basically does for us is goes ahead and sends emails to certain individuals to say, hey, there's a delivery block. Here's all the pertinent information. Go ahead and release it, or whatever actions you want to take. But it sends them the email with all the information, no research necessary. It eliminates steps in the process. Once again, we talked about Transformation Center earlier, but that was another critical part of our success.
With regards to dashboards, again, dashboards, impacts, and direct savings. I mentioned earlier that the credit limits was one of the key areas that we understood we needed to focus on and do so quickly, because we had non-value added work that was being done and triggering where our collections team was having to release orders that really should not have been put on hold for some of our, our partners, our biggest, largest customers that we knew we were not going to be stopping. So we were able to refine our settings and configuration in SAP so that only the right orders were being held up for review as that would be appropriate. We built dashboards and used their indications to move into a more proactive process. As mentioned, Sandy asked to say, hey, can you build me a dashboard that tells me when someone is getting to 80% usage of their credit limit, so that I can go in and work it before they get triggered to go into a manual review. That was built for her, and she is using it to, again, proactively contact those customers that are approaching their credit limit, and or review the credit limits that have been set and say, well, is this the right limit that they should be at? And modify it, again, before they end up triggering and into a manual review process. Another area, as mentioned by Paresh, is with regards to the COVID-19 response and inventory demand control. As I mentioned, we have hospitals, critical care hospitals, as our main customers, where we are part of the medical network. And we needed to make absolutely certain that we had product available for all of them. And so we were monitoring carefully to make sure, are we seeing any stockpiling activities? Are our supplies still available? How do we make sure that we're staying on top of it? And we implemented a project and a program within SAP to check every single order that was coming in for a 30-day quantity of a particular material for a particular ship to location, and compare it to their 6-month ordering average to identify, are we seeing spikes in volumes of a particular material? And is that all right? Do we need to be protecting any materials? So one of the things that Celonis really brings to the table that is phenomenal for me is the ability to report on orders, that go through a particular process step. So what are all the orders that went through a block? Because once that block is released, unless you've set up, crazy tables in SAP to pull that report back out, you can't do something historically, again, after that block is removed. But we were able to set that up in Celonis, gain visibility every single day, what orders went through that block, where they stopped, where they changed, where they released, so we can keep an eye on that. How many orders are our managers needing to do a review on? Is the logic appropriate? Do we need to refine our logic for that program? And we were really able to do that. And once we figured that out, within half an hour or an hour, we were able to copy that and look for another block that we had had in place for many years and didn't really have a visibility into just how frequently was that being triggered until we were able to use Celonis. So this helped us. And in fact, with the inventory demand control, we were able to already, since March, make a direct savings over $600,000 worth of inventory and ordering values that were stopped. And we didn't have to go through credits. We didn't have to stop the orders after the fact. We were able to stop them up front. So really having a direct and visible tracked impact. Analysis on the ROI. Yeah, we were able to make an impact for the operation. Starting with S/4HANA, that was our main trigger point because we knew we needed to have better understanding of what was really going on as we prepared to transition our business into the whole new migration into S/4HANA. With that, the T-code utilization, there were quite a few standard connectors or downloads that we were able to get from the Market Center and just implement it and gain the benefits immediately. Easy implementation, absolutely. We don't have a dedicated resource. With the process improvement team, we were able to kind of absorb it into our fold. The on-demand real-time has been helpful. Analysis of the customer past due, because it is so very easy to use. Almost before we had the data validated, it was able to be used and prevent setting up a whole configuration for a customer who we found out was very late in their payments on a regular basis and didn't necessarily warrant extra hand-holding, right? Better management of our team and our resources, daily management board, and Paresh will get into that in a bit. But again, the business maturity that management and team members are really learning more and how to look at a situation, look into the drivers, see what's going on, and focus and become even more a data-driven organization.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. So this is where we're going to be talking about the co-innovation that we did between Celonis and Sysmex. A while back, we went to Celonis and we basically came up to them and said, these are some of our opportunities that we see in our business. They immediately saw the same opportunities that we had as well and said, wow, this fits perfectly into what Celonis can offer. So we came up with a couple of different things. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the Finance Control Center, as I like to call it, the CFO cockpit. This little view is designed specifically for CFOs and directors. So it gives them a quick view of what their main KPIs are. What do they really want to follow? So on the diagram, what you see here is the AR past due. Where am I sitting? Right? And is it sitting in one of my particular watch lists that I'm watching closely to make sure these group of customers, just in case they go under, what are my collectors going to do? And are they proactively working those specific watch lists? It gives the CFO, the director, that very high level view. And we're going to get into watch lists and the concept of that in a few seconds. So days sales outstanding, what's the average days that our customers are paying? Particularly, you can break that down by the different watch lists. You can drag right over it, and on the bottom of the screen, the data will automatically populate. Now, one could say, yeah, we have this in the dashboard, but this is specifically designed and focused on particular areas of the business. This doesn't give your CFO director a whole bunch of information. It's giving it what they're really concerned about and focused about. So another cool feature that we have in here is that the CFO or the director can actually go down to a particular customer or a particular invoice and do messaging right back to the AR manager. And there's a template of how many people they can select and who can be a part of that. But giving direct messaging with the particular KPI, with the particular data point that they're most concerned about, right back to the AR manager or leader. So a really nice CFO cockpit concept that we've co-innovated, co-partnered with Celonis. So this is the watch list, still part of the CFO cockpit or the finance control center, but giving you the ability to manage your actual watch list. This would give either the CFO or the accounts receivable manager to maintain and monitor the watch list. So based on whatever strategy that you want to go and execute, you can create a new watch list or you can maintain a watch list. What does this all give you is a concentrated focus on your main particular watch list or particular customer base, right? So it's really allowing you to manage your business to the next level. Rather than just seeing data across the board, it's giving you that granularity and not over providing the information to your CFO, but giving them what exactly they need. So that's a really high level. On the right-hand side of this graph or the image, you'll see the customer category. I put an arrow there and it's in red. So each one of these customers, regardless if it's in a watch list or not, will show you the customer category. So if we were in the CFO cockpit and we picked up a customer and we weren't looking at watch lists, it would tell you what particular watch list. And this concept of watch lists and the color is going to become really critical as we go down to the collector level, because this will allow the collector to actually understand and say, I better be careful here. This particular customer is on a watch list. So I have many eyes looking at this customer. I'll explain more. It's a really nice topic. We'll explain more. So now we're talking about the AR team management. This is really nice. This is now going down from a CFO/director level down to the AR manager and AR lead role, right? So now this is giving us the capability of managing our team. Celonis is great about giving us data. And it's great because it's real-time data. Within an hour of the transaction actually happening, you have that data in Celonis. We were managing this through Excel files and formulas. But the missing element was the Celonis real-time data. We would have to have someone manually update the Excel document, then have the formulas run on it. And by doing those two activities, you're 4, 5, 6 hours into your day, and the data is irrelevant. What this allows us to do is within the same day, within hours, you're able to get a good picture of how your business is running. Right here at the top of the screen, you have your past due AR targets by quarter. Well, remember when we started off this presentation, we talked about, well, driving without a vision is essentially driving blind. If you get targets, you want to have a roadmap to get to that target. So we put that into our concept. Right at the top of the screen here, you see you have past due Q2 target, past due Q3 target, past due Q4 target. Each one of those represents a number that has been designed and set by our CFO. So by the end of December, I need you to be at this number. And by the Q4, I need you to be at that number. How are you going to get there? Right? So this gives the manager what they're trending at, what you see on the right-hand side. I've blurred out the actual numbers, but you kind of get an idea of the trend line there. And that's going back the last 3 to 4 weeks. So it kind of gives you an idea how the last month has gone. On the next line, on the second row here, you see the collection performance metrics. So how were you end of business last night or this morning? What was your past due? And what did you start this month as your past due? Okay, so right off the bat, without doing too much research, you already have a couple of key data points that you can manage your business from. First off, you can see what's my past due and what did I start the month on? Is my current past due greater or less than that? If it's less, we're doing a great job. If it's greater, we'll pump the brakes. What happened? We need to investigate. We'll get to there through this data. What you see at the bottom here now is once again stuff that we've taken directly from our formulas into a Celonis dashboard. What you see here is you're going to have all your collectors on your left-hand side. Then we've assigned targets, and the targets is a calculation based on these 4 elements that you see in the middle of the screen, where it says month starting past due AR, month end past due AR, reduction required to meet quarterly goal, and past due as of yesterday, end of business. We kicked off this prototype early September, so we don't have all the data points for September. But as October ends, we'll have all the data points. And it gives a great view of how the business is doing. We're still looking to improve on this concept, but at a very high level, this is definitely giving us the feedback that we need. So now, what are we doing? So do you remember the collectors that we presented on the previous screen? We can have the ability to go one level deeper. And actually, we're going to be able to go many levels deeper. But once again, as we started this presentation, the Celonis is giving us the opportunity to take our data and go a couple of layers down to really understand the business. You don't need to open up everything, but to the KPIs that you're concerned about and to the goals that you have to drive on, how do I get there? So what you see here is the past due. And as you see, this snapshot was taken at 5:30 in the morning. So past due as of this morning, what your individual target is. What did you, collector, start as your month starting? And what's your reduction required? What do you have to get to hit our quarterly goal, right? And in this instance, you see the 2.5%. Well, that's great, because that tells me with the blurred out data that number was below their quarterly goal. So the team at that point was doing really well. So we even put in logic there to say, if the team is doing really well, we don't want them sitting around. What this is going to give them the capability of doing is that, hey, you've done a great job, but I also need you to keep hitting this 2.5% to hit this target rate. It's continuously driving forward. So this isolated view of the past dues, you have your past due trend, which you see on the left-hand side, kind of gives you an idea how you're doing. And once again, this is from a management perspective. If you were the AR manager, how can I manage my business? At a very high level, you want to give them, your team, the data, and you want to see the data. That's how you're going to make actionable changes. So you see the trend. The trend looks pretty good. It's coming down. It's flat, but it's on a downward trend. And past due by AR open invoice distribution. So what's open and what are my buckets that I got to focus on? And it brings it down to the amounts and the number of invoices, right? So that's what you see in the middle screen. And what I'm really excited about is the receivables past due by month end. We talk about this, and we say this is more reactive than proactive. And what we mean by that is we can say by the end of the month, you may be doing great, you're beneath your goals, but you don't know what's going to roll over November 1st or December 1st or January 1st. So what this gives you, hey, what are my large buckets, large dollar invoices, and are they coming past due in the next by the end of the month? And allowing us to prepare for that during our one-on-ones, have the calls to say, hey, I see that you're doing a great job, but there's opportunities coming abroad right around the corner. That's a very high level. But what you see at the bottom in these little stars is we roll this prototype out. And this is some of the initial feedback that we got. And it's pretty fantastic. This is awesome, gives me the tools to be successful. This is so much easier. Oh my gosh, I really like this. This is exactly what I need. This is the feedback that we actually received from the collectors as we rolled it out. That's fantastic. That means we are moving in the right direction, and our collectors are engaged. And as a team, from Liz and from what I do, from providing the business with the right tools, we're all in sync. We're all going in the right direction. This is the drill down from the previous slide. And I won't spend too much time here, but at a very high level, what you need to take away from here is take a look at the arrows, the due dates. So when we talk about forecasting and what we talk about saying, what are some of the potential large dollar invoices that are coming up? Well, we can sort right on the due date and say by month end, this is what I need to be prepared for. So collector A, this is what's coming past due. You might want to reach out to them and make sure that they were ready to get their PO. If there's any roadblocks, any concerns that we need to be aware of, anything that we can help them, we're ahead of it, right? So that doesn't hit our past due buckets, right? So that was our last slide on that. In closing, I thought this is pretty funny, but we got to have a little bit of humor to get this going. So we started off and said, cash is king. That was our presentation. But customer is our queen. We can't be doing this without our customer. At the end of the day, we can't accomplish any of this without data, right? So without our access to good data, we're stuck, and we're stuck in our old ways. What Celonis gives us is the ability to unlock the opportunities for tomorrow and especially today. Thank you.